Hi everybody, going to attempt question 2 now from the practice exam paper. This question talks about a drought situation, and North Island dairy farmers are talking about losing lots and lots of money as a result of the drought that's happening in the North Island. The first question asks you to show the effects of the drought in the New Zealand market for milk. So we've got the New Zealand market for milk there. Most of you should find this pretty easy. Obviously with a drought, farmers are going to be able to produce less milk. It's going to cause the supply of milk to drop. So if we just manually draw in a curve there, label it S1, pop a couple of arrows in, that satisfies the requirement for part A of this question. Now part B, if we flick to part B, the question is describe the market forces that would cause the equilibrium in graph 3 to shift to the new equilibrium point P2 and Q2. Possibly something we didn't do there, so we better just do this. Q2 and P2. Pretty important to remember to do that if it's asked for in the question. So reminding ourselves of the question, describe the market forces. Now, when it comes to market forces, you are almost guaranteed to get this question in your exam. And I teach my students that there are 4 sentences to write for this answer. 4 sentences. Excuse me. So let's start by going back to the graph and looking at exactly what happens. How does the market get from P1 to P2? What forces are at play to cause that to happen? Well, let's have a look at what happens. When the supply curve moves, remember the equilibrium of the market is right here, this combination of price and quantity here. When the supply curve moves, what happens? Well, the quantity being supplied moves from this point here and it moves across to this new position here. Let's just label that in. That's the new, if you like, QS after the market moves. Now, the price hasn't changed yet. The price is still P1, but the quantity supplied in the market has moved back to here, whereas the quantity demanded, which is the point here on the demand curve, stays the same. So Q1 is also QD. So what happens? What have we got? Well, if we look closely, we can see that there's now a gap between the quantity that producers are willing to supply and the quantity that consumers require. So the very first thing that happens is, in our case, the first sentence is, as a result of the shift in supply to the left, a shortage is created. Now, when a shortage is created, what forces come into play to force the market price higher? Well, generally in a shortage situation, you'll find your consumers, the people on the demand curve, they want this product, so they start to bid up the price of whatever the product does. In this case, it's milk. So consumers will bid up the product. Bid up the price. So the second point is consumers begin to bid up the price. As producers see consumers being more willing to pay a higher price, producers put more milk into the market at higher prices. So what do we notice if we go back here? Well, this is happening. So consumers are bidding up the price. So there's a slide up that curve, and then producers respond, and there's a slide up that curve. So in effect, what is happening? So there is an increase in QS, or quantity supplied, and a decrease in QD. Really important stages. So what's the final thing you have to say? Is that this process will continue until the market returns to its equilibrium at a higher price. So there are your 4 steps. If you remember those 4 steps, those 4 steps, 4 sentences, you will always get that answer right in the exam.